Hi again, everybody. So I've been getting lots of requests to read more of the sci-fi story, so I'm gonna do that. So to get right to it, when last we left our heroes, Daniel had been caught snooping around into the infamous Project 9441, and had a near-death encounter in the Tangle, which he fortunately escaped unscathed. So now, he's taking a few days off of work, and we will pick up where we left off. Over the next few days, Daniel did his best to entertain himself. It wasn't easy. He had gotten so used to his work schedule that he barely had any hobbies or really anything to entertain himself that wasn't Brian and the gang or Minami. The first day was the biggest trial because that was the day the email from his mother arrived. There was no subject line. The message itself was sharp and concise. You brought this on yourself. I hope you're happy. Your father would have been disappointed in you. Daniel deleted the email almost immediately after reading it. His mother's emails exhibited very little variation in tone, brevity, and content. That didn't make them sting any less. Days passed, and Daniel got excruciatingly bored. Eventually, he ended up playing video games until his headache became too bad for him to focus, at which point he would make himself some coffee, browse the internet, read through the well wishes from his co-workers and friends and the requests for interviews from the news channels, and, eventually, go back to the video games. It was with great relief that he woke to the auto butler flinging open his blinds Thursday morning. Never thought I'd be glad to be back from vacation, he grumbled to himself. Guess it matters when you don't choose to go on vacation. Quite so, sir, said the auto butler. Shall I make breakfast, sir? No, Jeeves, I can handle it myself, Daniel intoned, in the voice of one telling their toddler that no, you cannot play with Daddy's power tools for at least the 12th time. Very well, sir. Daniel walked out of his bedroom, saw the man standing in his doorway, and froze. You have a visitor, sir, Jeeves drawled. Yes, Jeeves, I can see that, Daniel replied, his voice strained. The visitor turned around. It was Alan. Can I help you? Daniel said, shocked. Should I pretend I don't recognize him? How many cameras are watching us right now? Oh, so formal, Alan said, smirking. He had taken off his dark glasses. His eyes were a pale, oaky brown. Is there coffee? I smell coffee. Dying for some caffeine. I hope you have sugar and cream because I take my coffee 50% sugar and 50% cream. And 50% coffee. Hope you have big cups, too. Oh. Daniel's voice was faint. Yes, there's coffee. In the kitchen. Daniel led the way with Alan gangling along behind him, still chattering. I saw you on the news. Hell, half the damn world saw you on the news. Stumbling out into the light in that O2 mask, looking simultaneously waxen and green, like green wax, which is impressive considering your complexion, held up by a pair of vet techs. Vet techs? Daniel asked, wondering if Alan knew something he didn't about the sort of medical personnel the NDC was hiring. Well, Alan rolled his oak-brown eyes. EMTs. But you coders are basically the government's pets anyway, so they're vet techs among us illuminated folk. Daniel felt his eyes bug out of his head. Illuminated? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb, Daniel. It suits you too well, Alan admonished. This coffee smells terrible. What is it, Moroccan? Brazilian? Instant, said Daniel, pouring 2 mugs of coffee. And just so you know, I have work today. Here. Cream? Sugar? Alan asked, sniffing the coffee with his thin nose. In the pantry, and it's milk. Sorry. Milk. Ugh. Better than drinking it black, I suppose, Alan griped, raiding Daniel's pantry and fridge. What are you doing here? Daniel demanded, feeling as though the auto butler's arm had acquired a body and was now rifling through his things with 4 times its previous efficiency. What? Oh, you're almost out of sugar, by the way. He was stirring his coffee vigorously. How? That container was half full yesterday. Alan shrugged, adding so much milk to his cup that it filled to the brim. The liquid inside took on the color of fine beach sand. I told you, 50% sugar. He sipped the coffee with a slurping sound, dropping the level of his coffee beneath the rim of the cup. I've had worse. Wait, no, I haven't. This is literally the worst coffee I've ever had. Daniel ran a hand over his face. Fine, sorry. I ask again, what are you doing here? Well, I'd tell you, but then I'd have to kill you, Alan replied, straight-faced. Suddenly his oaken eyes lit up and he grinned. Daniel, relax. You just went from, cappuccino to white girl latte. I shut down your house's cameras before I got here. Whole security system, actually. We're 100% off the record here. You did what? Daniel demanded. I told you I was a hacker guy, didn't I? So I hacked your house. That's impossible, Daniel said. You say that because you work for the government and they don't tell you all the little back doors. Speaking of which, someone tried to kill you. What did you find out? What? Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? The NDC's main barrel doesn't fill up with nitrogen in 5 minutes by accident. You were looking into that project. What did you find? Minami wouldn't tell me, and I don't think I tried every method available to get it out of her. Daniel went red. What exactly? Alan laughed. Oh, man, you're so young and adorable. He tousled Daniel's hair. Daniel jerked away from him, spilling his own coffee. Alan's face became suddenly serious, although there was still a hint of a smirk playing around his thin lips. I'm a married man, you know. But that's beside the point. What did you find? This is important, kid, so cough it up. Hold on a second, Daniel snapped. You break into my house, tell me someone's tried to murder me, and then demand to know what I know about it? Not to mention stealing all of my sugar and half my milk. Not stealing, Alan objected. You offered. Would you mind telling me what the hell is going on? Why and how you're here, and what you think gives you the right to barge in here like you own the place? Alan shook his head, then slurped his coffee again. If I'd barged in here like I owned the place, I would have chucked my shoes across the room. No. But okay, if you want to know what's going on, I guess I can give you that much. In return for your information that almost got you killed. I'm no stranger to the tit-for-tat interplay of informants. I'm not your informant, Daniel said. And be quick, because I'm going to be late for work. Alan raised a pale eyebrow. I wouldn't, if I were you. Going to work, that is. Someone tried to kill you. Daniel was about to object, but Alan held up a silencing hand. I know. I'm getting to it. He took a deep breath, slurped his coffee, and made a face. Ugh. Anyway, what's going on? I'm here to find out what you know. I came here secretly, completely unseen. We're off the record here, so don't freak out. Okay? Okay, good. That also explains why I'm here. As to how, some secrets are better kept by just one, don't you think? I think so. I'm not telling you. Anyway, I want to know why someone wants to kill you. I want to know what you know. A slow smile spread across his face. In case they get away with it next time. Daniel glared at him. It's too early for this shit, he said. Fine. Okay. I looked into Project 9441. Unsurprisingly. What is it? I don't quite know. It looks like a program to stop someone from leaving the city, to find and detect them and set up roadblocks. There was a voice recognition thing, too, and a setup for red flagging keywords. What keywords? Daniel shrugged. I don't know. Anarchy, Big Brother, Phoenix. Brian said... I asked him about it. All he would say is terrorists. Suddenly, Alan was not smiling. Not even slightly. Shit, he said. That's what I was afraid of. What is? Phoenix. It's a city, Daniel said. What does it have to do with anything? Not that Phoenix, idiot, Alan snapped. They're an organization. They're terrorists. He slammed his hand down on the plastic counter. I told Dylan they were no good. But did he listen? No. It was all, lighten up, Alan. They could help us, Alan. They're freedom fighters, Alan. Doesn't that sound nice? They're goddamn terrorists! Daniel began to get a horrible feeling in the pit of his stomach. The Hulk is in with terrorists? Freedom fighters, Alan snarled. And he's going to drag the whole goddamn group in with them. But they could help. No, they couldn't. The intensity of Alan's glare surprised Daniel. You haven't seen what terrorists can do. I have. He shook his head. No, nothing good ever comes of terrorism. They're trying to overthrow the government. Isn't that what we're trying to do? Wrong. We're trying to humiliate the government. We're trying to change the government. Do you know what happens to you if the government gets overthrown? Your co-workers down at the kennels? Your purple-haired buddy with the nerd glasses? They'll kill you, along with thousands of innocent people. How the hell do you know what Brian looks like? Daniel demanded. I know what everyone looks like. He's too important to lose track of. Fortunately, he likes making it easy for me with that damn hair of his. What? What? What the fuck are you talking about? Alan waved a dismissive hand. We've known about Project 9441 for a long time now. We knew it was important, but we didn't know why. It got shuttled onto Purple Hair when the last guy who was working on it mysteriously retired 10 years early on zero pension with about $2,000 to his name. Daniel felt like he was suffocating. Again. He could swear that 78% nitrogen was way too much. Is Brian in danger? Not as long as I'm keeping an eye on him. And I'm keeping both eyes on him, in case I find out what that program is really for and I don't like it. Never know, he might end up being the government's #1 flunky. He's sure making a name for himself. Trying to breathe, Daniel set his coffee down. His hands were shaking too badly to keep it from spilling. Okay, he said. So these terrorists, or whatever they are. Terrorists, Alan put in. They're not necessarily the bad guys here, right? Yes, they're necessarily the bad guys. What part of terrorism is unclear to you? God, you're stupid. Daniel took a deep breath. Okay, so, terrorism bad. Got it. But if they are trying to overthrow the government, does that hurt or help us? Hurts us. Definitely hurts us. Dylan sees them as a means to an end, but that doesn't end where he thinks it does. We'll never find out what the government is hiding if Phoenix burns it all to the ground. You think that's what they'll do? Alan cast him a patronizing gaze. They're called Phoenix, he said. You do the math. Fine. But what makes you think someone tried to kill me? Maybe the fact that you almost died? He guessed, rolling his eyes. Besides, you don't think it's just a little suspicious that the main barrel just so happened to spring the most massive nitrogen leak on record only a few minutes after you went down there? It does sound suspicious when you say it like that. You mean when I describe it accurately? Yeah. Listen, if you're dead set on going back into that hellhole today, pun very much intended, I'm not going to stop you. But you watch your back, kid, all right? Hate to lose you. He shrugged. Mostly because then Minami would have to go through the trouble of scouting out another coder, and we'd have to wait another 11 months to... Whoopsies. Daniel's outrage must have showed on his face. 11 months? He asked, oddly calm in voice. Is that how long she was looking for a coder to bring you? Alan quickly drained his coffee cup. Well, it's been nice talking to you. Gotta go. Bye! He dashed out of the room, making a beeline for the front door. Alan, Daniel said. Alan stopped. Yes? Alan said. As a hacker, how hard would it be to access the fire suppression system of the main bank? Pfft. Alan waved away the question. Easy as pie. Why? Do you need it for something? No, Daniel said darkly. But someone did. I think that's a good stopping place for the day. So thank you guys for joining me, for listening, and for continuing to encourage me to read this, because I really do enjoy it. I will see you guys in the next video. So, bye!